Hi everyone, I hope that you're doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Boom Shaka and I welcome you to my channel. As always, I'm so grateful that you're listening, subscribing and commenting. I really appreciate the support. And in this one, I wanted to speak to you about a topic that I've been thinking about ever since the start of the pandemic and ever since I moved to Toronto to take care of be around my family, I should say, be around them and make sure that they're okay, that they don't go out too much, that they're not too enthusiastic about their outings. My parents are very extroverted, they love going out, but in general just to be around them because it was a good time to be at home. So I was in Toronto obviously, and I quarantined for the first 2 weeks, and then I was allowed to go out. We were allowed to go out for exercise at least once or twice a day, as long as you wore a mask outside, or if we kept our distance. It wasn't such a big deal in Toronto, at least, because they were pretty good about controlling the pandemic here. And so, at first, everything was as before. Whenever I'd come here previously into Toronto, I'd be the only one walking around in the park near me. Where I am here right now, this is a park, very small park near my house. And whenever I walked, no matter what it was, if it was summer or winter, it was always dead. There weren't that many people walking around. And in the beginning it was cold, so I was usually the only one. I'd be walking around by myself, and it was nice. I liked being on my own. But I noticed as the pandemic, I think a lot of people were like, yeah, no, it's going to be done soon. 2 more weeks and we'll be out. And so I guess people didn't realize, that it's going to last for as long as it did. I think I've been here for 3.5 months already. And so I noticed as time went on that the park became busier and busier, and all times of day. Because sometimes I'd get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and I'd go for a walk, and people were still outside. And I'm like, where did all these people come from? I didn't even know there were not that many people in my neighborhood. Where are all these people coming from? Where are all these children coming from? Where are all these people? Where are all these children on bicycles and scooters coming from? It was kind of a revelation of how many children are actually in my neighborhood, because I'd never seen them before. Of course, the point of all of this, what I realized, was that previously going outside wasn't such a big deal, so people didn't really care that much about it. Also, there's only this much TV that you can watch, and after that you get bored. And a lot of my friends started saying the same thing. They're like, I've watched a lot of Netflix and I'm done with it. I want to do something else. And that's what caused the influx or the profusion of baking. All these people, we had like a little bit of we didn't have enough flour on the grocery store shelves anymore, because everyone was baking all of a sudden. All of these sourdough starters were being shared, and breads were being baked, and pastries and cakes were being made. And obviously that was a big thing that people did. They were like, all right, I've watched TV, I'm done with that. I've gone for my walk, my daily walk, and I'm done with that. So what else am I going to do? I know a friend of mine in Singapore who was in lockdown. The only time they were allowed to go outside was for once a day for exercise. And so a lot of people, she noticed, bought bikes, because there were all these new bikes and new bikers roaming around, because that was the only time you were allowed to not wear a mask if you're on a bicycle, because you're moving fast enough that it didn't matter. And so she's like, all of these new bicycles and bicyclists, and it's a little bit dangerous because they don't know what they're doing, and it's kind of funny, but it's also sad. And so a lot of people started, in every country I'm sure there's different trends, but everyone started kind of thinking about, all right, how am I going to fill this time that I have all of a sudden? What am I going to do with it? I also started knitting. I started learning how to play the ukulele. I am not good at it, in case you're wondering, but I did start, And I started reading a post about this, and I think it's very much related, that a lot of us believe that, maybe we believe it or we don't, we think that we believe it, or we're told that we believe it, that we need to work 8 hours a day in order to be productive, in order for this economy to keep on growing, in order for this world to keep on progressing. But it's been proven over and over again by scientists and other things that a 4-hour work day is more productive than an 8-hour work day. Did I say work week? 8-hour work week. A 40-hour work week, I should have said earlier. But anyways, a 4-hour work day is more productive than an 8-hour work day. So people get more done, they're happier, which is a bonus. They're able to spend more time with family. All of a sudden, that's great. And this is what the pandemic kind of showed a lot of us, is that, oh, right, if I'm not commuting for 2 hours a day, if I'm not going out shopping to fill my my heart or emptiness, if I'm not spending my time in a consumeristic mode, which a lot of us weren't doing because their malls are closed, the bars are closed, the concerts are closed, and we're doing everything online. So even if we do 18 hours of online work, it still means that we have time left over to do something else. And it proved to us that if we are not doing all those things, there's so much time left over. There's so much time left over. And so all of those excuses that we had about, oh, right, I don't have the time for that, it just fell away. You just can't even use that excuse anymore because you're like, well, yeah, I do have the time. I'm just choosing to spend it in different manners. I know for myself that I have the time to do everything that I want to do, but what I actually end up doing is I spend that time reading manga. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing because manga is one of my things that I do in my free time, but 6 hours of reading manga a day sometimes is a little bit too much. And I look at my screen time app and I look at it and I'm like, reading manga 6 hours. I'm like, oh boy, yeah, that was a little too much. It's not conducive to happiness or contentment or productivity or joy or anything like that. It's just numbing. We're just numbing ourselves, and I'm numbing myself using manga. Other people are numbing themselves using shopping, yet other people are numbing themselves using whatever else. Yeah. The point wasn't that people stopped drinking alcohol or they stopped smoking weed or things like that. In fact, actually, the alcohol sales went up. In Canada, at least, weed sales went up. Marijuana sales went up because it's legal here, if you guys didn't know. And so in general, it doesn't mean that we're doing less terrible things. And I'm sure like condom sales went up too. I'm sure a lot of people are just having oodles and oodles of sex. 9 months later, we have like a boom of births. But the point is that we have the time kind of now all of a sudden to be like, all right, what am I going to do with myself? Yeah, I have all this time. Awesome. Some people choose to bake, which is great. Some other people choose to knit. Some other people choose to go for walks. I see so many more people walking than I ever did before. A lot of people that I've never biked before are biking around, like older gentlemen that I'm like, wow, I think that's the first time you've ever ridden on a bike, I'm sure. A lot of people are learning new skills like rollerblading or skateboarding or making videos, things like that. And so the point of all of this is that, the consumeristic culture, and I've spoken about this before, there's a lot of lies that are told to us in general in order to make sure that we stay in our boxes and we stay in our slave mode, or we stay docile so we don't rebel against. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, because if everyone started rebelling, like, what would happen to the economy? Well, nothing really, because it would adjust, but that's what the idea is. They don't want us to rebel, they don't want us to change, they don't want us to think. And because as soon as you start thinking, you start realizing, this is the wrong way to live. I don't want to live like this anymore. And therefore, in every dystopian novel that you read, 1984 by George Orwell, or Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, I think his name is, or any other book, every single time anything like that happens, any kind of dystopian worldview is always included with making sure that the people have no time to think or the energy to think, or are just not allowed to think because they're always watched by something. Or they just don't have the compunction to think. They're just so stupid, they've been made stupid, or they've been bastardized, or just their brain cells have been killed by terrible food, terrible TV, terrible entertainment, whatever it might be, and they just don't have the inclination to think anymore. Because as soon as they don't think anymore, you don't use your brain or you don't critically think, you're controllable, right? And that's what the point of these 8-hour work days, or 40-hour work weeks, or even 60-hour 80-hour work weeks. I know some people who work 100-hour work weeks. I mean, it's insane. The point of it is so that you don't have time to think. The only time you have is to work, to make money, maybe to shop, to buy stuff online or offline, and that's it. What else are you supposed to do? Nothing else. There's no time for anything else. There's no time to spend with family. There's no time to think about hobbies. There's no time to think about the big questions in life. There's no time to think about, am I living my life the right way? You just don't have the time or the energy or the drive, even the motivation to think about it, because you're just so tired all the time, or you're just so exhausted, or you're just so unhealthy, you're just so sick, you're so miserable. And so, of course, that's the brilliant thing about this pandemic, because all of a sudden all these people have time and they're thinking, whoa, what am I supposed to do with myself? Some people are asking the questions that they need to ask. Maybe I don't want to live like this anymore. How else can I live? Maybe you're not. Either way, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is that you realize all of a sudden that you were living in a way that doesn't make sense, and you're trying to do something different. You're trying to learn new skills, maybe a new language, maybe a new baking strategy, maybe a new way to make money. Whatever it might be, that's the point of it, is to switch things up, to break that cycle of eat, sleep, shop, repeat, or like work, sleep, eat, shop, repeat, whatever your cycle might be. And to break it and to all of a sudden put into stark contrast, be like, oh, this is my life in the pandemic. I had so much time, so much free time. I was still working, still making money. And this is my life right now. And I have no time to think, breathe, or even to go to the toilet sometimes. I mean, in Japan, they have adult diapers because the employees don't have time to go to the toilet, not even to pee. And so they have to wear these diapers. So they just pee and poop right there. And that is in itself the epitome of nonsensical living. Like, it does not make any sense when you think about it that way. Like, what is so important that they can't even go to pee? Anyways, I love Japan. I'm not saying anything about that, but that just seems a little bit overkill. Now, of course, I don't know anything about anything, so I'm just sharing my opinion on this. I just thought it was interesting to look at the contrast. Especially for me, it's very stark because I can see so many more people outside than I've never seen so many people in my neighborhood before, ever. I had no idea there were that many kids in my neighborhood. It was like, whoa, where are all these people coming from? So, I'd love to hear your opinion on this, of course. And if you've noticed a very big contrast in pre-pandemic living versus, obviously there is a contrast, but what kind of contrast have you seen in terms of time, free time spent doing different things, time spent learning new skills, time asking questions, the big ones in life. So I'd love if you share that with me. Again, so thankful that you're listening, and I'll see you guys the next time around. Bye for now.